nerves by Tuesday, I want you to think about Charles. Charles graduated, but Charles truly, from my perspective, is the heart of why we serve. So I arrived in December 2016, and this young man, who I didn't know, was walking aimlessly through the halls. He appeared to be an adult. He came into my office and he asked for a pen or pencil. And I said, "Where do you belong?" And he said, "Where I want to be." I immediately said, "I don't like Charles." And as I grew, I learned that Charles was the heart of Seed. He was one of Seed's favorites. Because he was one of Seed's favorites, and I noticed that often he was out of class, often he was shirtless, often he was able to do what he wanted to do. Because he was the heart of Seed, I didn't like that. I had a problem with a student having the ability and the autonomy to do what they wanted to do. So I often didn't speak to Charles. I would imagine that not speaking to Charles to some degree broke his heart. So Charles oftentimes would dance and would sing and was very, very popular among the women, but not often as popular among his instructors. So Charles had, in multiple occasions, we had a teacher named Miss Schumann. Miss Schumann and Charles had it out. Miss Schumann wrote a 6-page letter about why Charles was despicable. She called him names. And she said she didn't want Charles in her class anymore.
She did.
I was offended, but Charles wasn't my favorite. And quite frankly, he wasn't my responsibility because I worked in the middle school and he worked in the high school. But this bothered me. So I asked someone about Charles. They told me that Charles' mom left him when he was young. Can you imagine? That's a heartbreaker. Can you imagine how a person feels when you're left? They told me that Charles was currently living with his aunt, and she had issues. What another heartbreak. I began to understand why this young man loved Seed, because at Seed he got love. And at Seed, when his heart was just ripping away and teachers didn't like him, somehow at Seed, it was a safe place. But I began to see something different. And Mr. Hughes wanted Charles to go to New York with the middle school students. I again was offended. How dare this teacher want a high school student to go on a middle school trip? He shared the reason why, and I thought, well, he has a lot of heartbreaks, why not? So he went. When we got on the bus, Charles decided that he was going to defy the rules and not come with a Seed uniform on. So I kicked Charles off the bus. In that moment, again, well, his heart crumbled a little bit. He said, if I run and get my uniform, can I still go? I thought, he'll never make it. But he did. Charles ran to the dorm, got his uniform, and he was on the bus in less than 3 minutes. I couldn't believe it. So Charles went to the back of the bus, I stayed in the front, because in my mind, Charles is a student that gets away with way too much stuff. While we were in New York, we enjoyed a phenomenal play. Charles and a few other students, he was a great role model and a great leader, and the middle school students looked up to him. And for just some moments, I looked at Charles and his broken heart pieces a little different. But this was the turning point. There was a white gentleman, 6'2", about 260 pounds, and he drops a large wad of money. It appeared to be on or about $400 to $500. Charles picks the money up and says, sir, you dropped your money. The man turned back and looked at him as if he was despicable and said, you gave it to me, and walked away. Instantly, Charles' head fell. I looked at him and I was like, wow, another heartbreak. Wow, he's doing something good. That changed it for me with Charles, because I realized that you as the adult never know what a student is going through. And you as the adult are responsible for making sure that you maintain that love. You as the adult are responsible for ensuring that you do your best even when you don't want to. So, we went to New York in January, but Charles sucked me in. And from January to June, Charles became the heart of seed in my eyes. He was one of my favorites. So when Ms. Schumann kicked him out, he often, when he couldn't find his other favorites, he came to my office. But for Charles, he was dealing with so much. Drug-addicted family, no personal love, no financial support. And the truth is, you are his family. But for so many, like Charles, we break their hearts every day, right? We get smart. We say things like, you're never as good as I am. I got mine, you get yours. And we have this attitude as if we're superior. That's not good. Charles needs us. The Heart of Seed are really our scholars that'll come on Sunday. They need us to extend ourselves beyond our comfort zone. If I would ask you to pick up these pieces, could we put Charles's heart back together again? It'll never be the same. Once something is broken, it's hard for it to mend back. No matter how skilled you are, how strong you are, how much money you make, once you're broke, once you're rich, it's so hard to get it back together. So as we leave, I ask you to remember the Heart of Seed, which you are responsible for ensuring that you don't break our students. Have a phenomenal afternoon. Mrs. Inman has called an emergency meeting, and she's expecting everyone to be in the dining hall at 12:30. Enjoy.